Hello and welcome to part 3 of our quirky Christmas queue. Today we're going to be mixing and mastering everything. We've been working on top of a template, so I've got these reverb channels and audio stems ready to go. If you want to know how to make a template like this, I've done a video on exactly this one just over there, and like and subscribe, always appreciated. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through and I'm going to, label things that I've forgotten to do, like the violins and violas up here. And I'm going to colour code and group them from top to bottom into what are eventually going to become stems. So for example, clarinets and flutes, sometimes you might group that just as woodwinds, but I'm going to separate these two out, I think, because it makes sense. Sleigh bells, for example, we're going to have that on its own stem, because it's something an editor may want to have control of. Okay, let me get through the color coding and naming and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've labeled and color coded everything in blocks going down. I've ended up with 10 of them. I've also labeled the reverbs and the stems. So you can see I'm splitting it out into string, clarinet, flute, tuba, piano, guitar, sleigh bells, glock, xylophone and tubular bells. That's how we're going to route everything. I'm now going to go into mixing desk area, and the first thing I'm going to do is go through and add any EQ. Now from experience, I tend to know that a lot of these BBC SO close mic'd instruments that we've got probably won't need much doing to them. I'll probably have a look at the sleigh bells, the guitar and the piano possibly might need a little bit of tweaking. But EQ is my next step. See you in a sec. Okay, I'm quite happy with the EQs there. Next thing is routing. So I'm going to do each group at a time. For example, the strings, instead of going to the stereo out, we are going to now put them to the string stem. And we're also going to add a send to the string reverb. Also, when I'm setting this up, what I will probably do is go into each instance of the reverb that I've got. And if I don't want it to be, for example, this main hall section, I can change it to a specific one for high strings. So let's do it for violin 1 solo. In this case of Spitfire's audio reverb, I can pick different ones. Doesn't matter which reverb you're using, I would keep it consistent over all of them. If you haven't got positioning within your reverbs, don't forget you can use the pan options for each of the instruments to give some extra width as well. Always remember to do stereo pan, not balance, because balance just cuts off one side of the signal rather than stereo pan, which moves the signal around. Another little tip there for you. Okay, so I'm going to route all of these to the correct outputs and the correct sends for their reverbs. See you in a sec. Okay, there's all the boring rerouting stuff done. What I'm going to do now is probably work on this end section and loop it, because that's where I want it to be loudest. And I'm going to increase the amount of reverb send that I'm sending each instrument, because I know this end section is the one that obviously is going to be the loudest. I don't want that to peak on the level meters. And it's also an opportunity to check those levels and can I balance them. So the sleigh bells need to sit in the mix and not overpower it, because they are obviously quite a high frequency. It's possible I might want to automate some of the levels as well, but what I'll do is set this end section correctly first. Okay, this should be fun. See you in a sec. Okay, so there's a couple of little tweaks I've made. So the tuba wasn't particularly loud enough, so I've just added a bit of a gain plugin, only up 3 dBs or so. Also, I went through and made sure I had automated anything that needed it. Remember, things like legatos you can automate with expression and dynamics, but with instruments like flute and clarinet doing their spiccato, what you actually want to do is automate their note volume rather than the expression dynamics, because they tend not to have an effect. Obviously, depends on the library. Play around, make sure you know what you're doing to get the effect you need. So I've done all that. Everything's looking good. It's all routed. the reverbs are done. All I need to do now is take everything out of input monitoring mode, put it into record mode. I'm going to press record, sit back and watch the stems appear by magic. Great, we've got our stems. The only other thing I've done is made sure I could see the stereo out track so that I can make sure everything is absolutely out by the time we finish that reverb tail at the end. Don't cut it too early or it will sound unnatural. And that is therefore going to be our end marker. The beginning is just a fraction before everything starts coming in. So you'll see as it starts, there's a very slight break and then the sound comes in. You don't want a big break at the beginning. So we can come out of there. Here are all our tracks. That's it, all done. I'm going to play it for you as a bit of an outro. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's always appreciated. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next. See ya.